Beginning of the movie, a woman named Carol steps outside for what seems like a normal walk through the city. Almost immediately, she senses that something is deeply wrong. The streets feel lifeless, and the people around her appear hollow, completely devoid of emotion. Their faces are blank, their movements mechanical, as if the entire town has been drained of its soul. What makes this situation even more disturbing is the realization that anyone who displays emotion is swiftly arrested by the police. An elderly woman repeatedly warns passers-by by shouting, "Don't sleep!" But even she is eventually seized by the authorities. As Carol continues walking in fear and confusion, a police officer who appears normal approaches her. He notices that Carol is sweating, something unusual in this environment, and quietly urges her to escape, warning her that if she stays, she will be captured and killed. It becomes evident that expressing emotions or falling asleep leads to death. Suddenly, the film cuts back to events from a few days earlier. Several days prior, a space shuttle crashes onto Earth, breaking apart and scattering debris across multiple states in the United States. News outlets nationwide obsessively cover the incident, speculating that it could be the beginning of an alien invasion. Citizens are terrified and avoid touching any wreckage, fearing it may be contaminated. Around this time, Tucker Kaufman, the head of the Centers for Disease Control, arrives at one of the crash sites to investigate. After speaking with the scientists stationed there, Tucker learns that the debris contains a mysterious organism capable of surviving extreme radiation. Even more alarming, the organism reproduces at an extraordinarily rapid pace, strongly suggesting it originated from another planet. As Tucker prepares to leave the site, he accidentally touches a fragment of the debris and cuts his finger. Strangely, he dismisses the injury entirely and heads home without concern, despite being fully aware of the potential danger. That night, Tucker begins sweating uncontrollably. His face undergoes an unsettling transformation, as if his cells are condensing or rearranging themselves, signaling that something alien has begun to take control of him. The story then shifts focus to Tucker's ex-wife, Carol, a psychiatrist who lives with their only child, Oliver. Late that night, Oliver wakes up screaming from a nightmare. Carol immediately rushes to him and manages to calm him down. The next morning, Carol receives a phone call from Tucker, who unexpectedly asks to see Oliver. Carol refuses outright and hangs up. Shortly afterward, she drops Oliver off at school and heads to work. On her way, she encounters her close friend Dr. Ben Driscoll, who offers her a ride. During the drive, Driscoll mentions that something suspicious is happening, as all the researchers involved with the crash site have abruptly resigned, suggesting a government cover-up. Carol, however, brushes off the topic and instead vents about Tucker, noting how odd he has been acting and how strange it is that he suddenly wants to reconnect with their son after 4 years of absence. Once they reach Carol's office, the two part ways. Carol begins her workday with her first patient, Wendy, a middle-aged woman who confesses that her husband has been behaving bizarrely. Wendy reveals that her husband recently killed their family dog without showing any remorse. Carol is immediately disturbed by this information, sensing that something is seriously wrong, but for now, she simply prescribes medication. Later that evening, Carol and her neighbor Pam take their children out trick-or-treating for Halloween. As they approach one particular house, a dog starts barking aggressively, as though it senses something unnatural. The group decides to leave, but suddenly the dog lunges at Pam's son, Andy, knocking him to the ground. Shockingly, Andy shows no fear or emotion and calmly forces the dog's mouth shut with his bare hands until adults intervene. Afterward, the group returns to Carol's home, where Pam confides that Andy has been acting unusually emotionless lately. Carol reassures her that this behavior can be normal for children. Moments later, Oliver begins screaming from another room. Carol rushes in and discovers a strange piece of flesh protruding from his hand. Alarmed, she immediately takes Oliver to Driscoll's lab, where they consult Dr. Gagliano, a respected scientist. Meanwhile, a mysterious virus begins spreading across the country, killing thousands daily with no clear explanation. In response, an emergency meeting is held in the nation's capital, attended by leading scientists and officials. Tucker Kaufman leads the briefing, explaining that the virus is spreading at an unprecedented pace and warning that the country will face collapse if action is not taken. When asked about a solution, Tucker insists that a nationwide inoculation program is the only option. Unbeknownst to those present, infected waiters in the kitchen are contaminating the tea by vomiting into it. Later that night, Carol reluctantly allows Tucker to spend the weekend with Oliver. While driving Oliver to Tucker's house, a frantic woman suddenly runs into the road begging for help, repeatedly saying something terrible is about to happen. Before she can explain, a car strikes and kills her. When the police arrive, Carol offers to testify against the driver, but the lead officer dismisses her and orders her to leave. This deepens Carol's fear that something sinister is unfolding. She drops Oliver off and leaves. That same evening, Carol attends an elegant party with Driscoll, where they meet Czech diplomat Dr. Belichick, his wife Ludmila, and other officials including Dr. Yurish. Conversations turn philosophical, touching on humanity's darker instincts. After the party, Driscoll attempts to kiss Carol, but she pulls away, citing their friendship and jokingly referencing the alien disease. The next morning, Carol notices people standing completely still in the streets, as though frozen in time. When she arrives at her office, she discovers that all her patients have cancelled their appointments. Soon after, Driscoll calls to say that the test results from Oliver's skin sample are ready. At the lab, Dr. Gagliano explains that the sample contains molecular spores that invade the brain during sleep, rewriting genetic code and destabilizing the host. To avoid infection, people must stay awake. Shortly afterward, Ludmila calls Driscoll, worried about Yurish's strange behavior. Carol, Driscoll, and Gagliano rush to his home, where they find Yurish in a horrific condition. When Carol attempts to photograph him, Yurish suddenly attacks. Driscoll intervenes, causing Yurish to expel a strange fluid before dying. Terrified, Carol rushes to retrieve Oliver. At Tucker's house, she finds him meeting with associates. Tucker claims Oliver is at a friend's house, but Carol doesn't believe him. The men surround her, and Tucker infects her with saliva before she manages to escape. Carol flees through the city, evading infected citizens and police. In the subway, she notices everyone has the same empty stare. Oliver messages her, begging for help. When she breaks down emotionally, another passenger warns her to suppress her emotions to survive. Chaos erupts, and Carol narrowly escapes again. An uninfected officer notices her sweating and urges her to run, revealing that infected people cannot sweat. The city descends into chaos. Carol reunites with Driscoll and Gagliano, who plan to search for a cure. Wendy is captured, but Carol realizes Wendy is immune due to encephalitis. Carol admits she has been infected. Driscoll helps her escape before the city is sealed. Carol heads to Baltimore, where she finds Oliver. After escaping Tucker and killing him, Carol and Oliver hide in a pharmacy. Oliver later saves Carol by injecting her when she falls asleep. Driscoll arrives but is infected and tries to convince Carol to join him. She escapes with Oliver and eventually reaches safety. In the final scenes, a vaccine is developed, erasing memories of the outbreak. Carol adopts Jean, and the world returns to normal. The film ends with the children heading to school, unaware of the horrors that once consumed humanity. Your continued support means so much to us, so please consider subscribing for more great content.